Romans chapter 4, verses 1 to 12. I would like to share grace together under the title of Abraham's faith and righteousness. Romans chapter 4 is a story about salvation. We must have assurance of our salvation. You must have assurance, testimony, and the Bible regarding your own salvation. In 2 Corinthians 1:35, it says, "Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves and confirm your own selves. Do you not know that Jesus Christ is in you? Unless indeed you are disqualified." Salvation is not someone else's story or problem. It is my own salvation. So I must examine and confirm myself. 1. Abraham was justified by faith. In Romans chapter 4, verses 1 to 12, the criteria by which God justified Abraham is presented. That standard is faith. Abraham is the ancestor of faith and a very great person. However, he is not considered righteous simply because his actions are pure, honest, and free of sin. Romans 43 says this. What does the Bible say? Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him as righteousness. This means that when Abraham believed God, he regarded Abraham as righteous. God sees our faith and declares us righteous. This is referred to as justification by faith in theological terms. It is the doctrine that one is declared righteous through faith. In Genesis 156, it says, Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Abraham was not accepted as righteous because he had a noble character, acted rightly, or was pious, or just before God, but because God saw Abraham's faith and declared him righteous. Righteousness is given through forgiveness and grace. In Romans 46:8, David confesses as follows, "Blessed are those whose lawless deeds are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man against whom the Lord will not count his sin." David was someone who understood that being justified by grace alone was of utmost importance. He committed the terrible sin of committing adultery with Uriah's wife, a loyal servant, and killed Uriah to cover up his crime. David, having fallen into deep sin, was confronted by the prophet Nathan and repented. Repenting before God and walking the path of restoration, he confesses in Psalm 3:21-2. Blessed is the one whose sin is forgiven and whose guilt is removed. Blessed is the one whom the Lord does not hold accountable for sin and in whose spirit is no deceit. I confess the pain I experienced when I hid my sins without confessing after committing them. When I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy on me. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer. I confess how great a blessing it is to be able to stand before God as a righteous person, free from condemnation and guilt. The sins that David was forgiven for were not only adultery and murder. His very existence is original sin. David realizes that his very existence is in sin and confesses, "This is not an excuse for sin. It is about making a fundamental repentance.